Hey, so this week was choice topic, and I kind of wanted to go a little bit more into the different types of learners, kind of how people learn individually, and how that might affect how they learn in a classroom setting. And so, obviously, there's the more traditional, I think it's called the VARK model, VARK model. And so that's just your visual, your auditory, your reading and writing, and your kinesthetic. So first, the idea was this trying to figure out how students retain and process information and how they do it differently and have a preferred model of learning. And so with visual, you take in the information, very visually. So, with charts, graphs, and maps, um, images and stuff like that explain concepts and ideas best to a visual learner. Something that I thought was really interesting was that it said visual learners um, do not learn from like photographs or videos, and so they prefer patterns and shapes, and so that's where like graphs and diagrams and all that kind of stuff comes into play and really helps them. Then there's auditory learners, and so they learn best by things being heard and spoken. So benefits, from lectures and group discussions and stuff like that. So it said that teachers should post audios on like a class website, which I thought would be interesting. A lot of times they have their slides and stuff that they'll show in class, but I never thought about them doing an audio. And then you've got the reading, which is also called verbal or linguistic. And so, they prefer information to be presented using words. So they really love to read. They do really well with like writing assignments, like writing a story or book reports, stuff like that. And then you have kinesthetic, which is the kind of action or physical learner. So they learn best when they can carry out a physical activity or practice you doing the new information. And so, they learn. It said that these learners are connected to reality either through concrete personal experiences, examples, or practices, which I thought was really cool. Just very hands-on people. And as I started reading more and more articles about different learning styles, I ran into an article that kind of went a little bit deeper, and it just reminded me of a topic that we also talked about. So it was that like people learning in isolation. So there's social or intrapersonal learning style, and then there's the solitary, the intrapersonal learning type. So, and then there's also the logical or the mathematical learning style. So the logical is the very concrete type of thinking, mathematical. So it said that it would be, engineers, mathematicians, scientists, stuff like that. And they make neat and organized lists while studying and extracting key points. So these are the very logical, organized thinkers. And then you've got your social, which really prefers group work or prefers working in a team setting. Really enjoys the extracurricular activities within the school, is just very social, and that's how they learn in just a very social setting by bouncing ideas off of each other and just working as a unit. Where then there's the solitary or the intrapersonal, and they prefer to learn on their own. Very socially introverted people, spend a lot of time on self-analysis and just prefer to be in the quiet. So, I think it's important to know the differences, mainly because, you take 20, 30, 35, 40 kids now in elementary school, high school, stuff like that, and you shove them into a room and expect them all to learn the same way, and you teach them the same way. And so, there could be a kid in class that is a more visual learner and has a hard time, when the teacher's just standing there giving lectures. Or, I think back to my own personal high school experience. I hated classes like I like to learn about history, but the classes were just like lectures and lectures and lectures. Whereas when I went into science classes like chemistry and anatomy, I excelled because it was very hands-on and I could see what I was doing as opposed to hearing it. So I'm obviously definitely a visual kinesthetic learner. And I just think about how I did so much better in those classes compared to the more lecture type classes. And so I think that we need to definitely take that into account when we're teaching students and teaching people. Try to figure out how they learn best and try to shape it to them, as opposed to like doing a generic type for the whole class.